Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Alright, we got a solo episode today, and I'll tell you why. So it won't be a long one. But I thought I would be proactive, and I thought I would be kind, organized. I'm on Adderall now, so I plan stuff. I make a list, and I put little check boxes to them, and I fill them in. I scribble them in with pen or pencil when I complete them, and I make squares, not circles. And I fill in the box like it's a Scantron. That's how I complete a list. And ever since I've been on Adderall, that's what I've been doing. And so I've just been overall organized. So Sunday night, I hit Will with one of these. Hey, Friday is the only day I can't do it. Just FYI. And he said, as I texted him later this week, oh, I thought Friday was the only day you could do it. So, #fail. But it might have happened because I texted him. And if you text with me, you know I do not review any texts. I do not look to see if my spelling was good, if I made sense, if I left out a word, if I doubled up a word, if I... sometimes I'm the multi-paragraph typer. I'm doing a lot of editing, so I might have started a sentence and then change it and then begin a new one, but I forgot to delete the beginning of the first sentence, and it gets to be really confusing. I should be editing my text messages, but I don't. And I said something about Friday, and he texted me back, I'm going to need some more words with that. And yeah, it didn't make sense, but I wanted to go for a joke anyway. So I Wikipedia'd the Gettysburg Address, and I copied and pasted, and attached to the last sentence of the Gettysburg Address was, hey, Friday's the only day I can't do it. Just FYI, 7 years ago. And you could say, well, that sounds like it's probably your fault then. But it's fine. That's fine. But here I am. And like I said, we didn't get to do hee-hees and ha-has before, so I need to really wake myself up. This is me slapping myself. I need to wake myself up. I need to have some hee-hees and ha-has. I need to stick to my word when I say I'm going to have a couple jokes. And these aren't the best jokes in the world, but we do jokes in monologue style, and I'm going to do them, okay? And shout out to Will as I say, cue the music. Here's a headline. Fans pass out and throw up as Taylor Swift's Nashville concert is delayed for hours. They all receive the Maddie Healy notification at once. They're wretched. The 1975. He just seems corny. When I saw him on SNL, I was like, this guy, he's lost his mind. Many fans were disappointed to hear that the 6-year relationship with Joe Alwyn soured. You're telling me that the girl who couldn't make it work with Brandon, Jordan, Sam, Lucas, whatever name I wrote, Taylor, John, Jake, Connor, Harry, Calvin, Tom, couldn't make it work with Joe too? That's a long list of Starbucks lovers. That's all I can say. Okay. A Tupperware stock plunged after the CEO warned it could go out of business. The CEO said even with the issues identified they couldn't find a lid for expenses anywhere. They couldn't find the lid. Where does the lid go? No one knows. A Swiss village has been ordered to evacuate amid warnings a large mass of rock looming overhead could come tumbling down in the coming days. The head of the early warning service, Stefan Schneider, said that with the rock teetering as is, you may have to run if you smell what the rock is cooking. I don't think he rolled his R, but the rock. That'd be a different kind of guy. The Swiss Alps lost 6% of glaciers last year, creating unsteady mountaintops. Schneider continued, "This is a difficult time for the Swiss, and we don't want to see people end up in Tacoma, Ricola." Swiss mountaintops, Ricola, 2 catchphrases in back-to-back jokes. Are you kidding me? Hello? Here's what I couldn't write a joke for. The rest of them. I have one more thing that came up this week, and that is I saw the most perfect meme of all time. And again, I wish Will could have been here because, I mean, he's the meme king. And it's the Narcos meme where Pablo Escobar or whoever is supposed to be whoever, it's from Narcos, I know, is sitting there. And, you know, he's like, one, he's waiting on the swing, and one, he's on the bench, and he's looking or whatever. So this was one. He's just sitting there, and he's looking straight. This is from this professor I follow on Twitter. On top, when you're at a normal people party, bottom, and no one wants to talk about the Apostle Paul. And let me tell you, no meme has ever hit me harder. No song, no word of inspiration. Nothing has hit me harder than that meme, and I've complained about it on here multiple times, but if I didn't have accounting and Bible in my head, I don't know what else would be there, because I don't know how anybody gets any kind of news or facts or things that they're interested in, or just accumulated buildup of knowledge. And it's like, I have these two things in my mind that, I mean, I've been working a lot. It's the thing that I have to talk about. And I can't talk to people about accounting. And the next thing, okay, let me give you an example. And I'm not going to go too deep into it because nobody wants to hear about it. But a couple weeks ago, and I'm still going to send this guy an email because I can't get off of it. Not in a mean way, but just because I'm hoping this guy will want to talk about it so that I'll have something to talk about. He was talking about, this was at church on Sunday. We had a guest speaker. He was talking about things that are sort of in our culture that we sort of maybe take for granted, or maybe are the big hang-ups in our culture. And he was talking about leisure, how we have a culture of leisure that really highly values leisure. So like, this is my work time, and therefore, you know, when I'm not at work, that's my time. And the thing I'm going to do in my time is the thing that I want to do with my time. And you're sort of using it for, you know, whatever fun, hobby. And it's not that fun and hobby are bad, but just sort of like overall, sometimes the point he was making is sort of can push out concern for others, blah, 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 sacrifice, blah, time, the time you're willing to spend on others. If somebody asks you to hang out or help them out or spend time with, or you have to make your own choice, forget somebody asking you. You have to make your own choice to say like, oh, I'd like to do, instead of spending time on me tonight, I'm going to spend time on somebody else for some reason. It's sort of difficult to do that. Anyways, that was the point he was making. Except when he talked about it, he contrasted that with the word suffering and how there's a lot of verses in the Bible that talk about like being accepting of a certain level of suffering. That's what Christ did ultimately, blah, 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 blah. Now, however, I'm a person sitting in that sermon and he says something like, the Bible never calls you to leisure or something like that. And it's like, well, I immediately thought of a couple of places that did, so that's fine. And maybe he didn't mean like always, so I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt a little bit because that's not really what he was saying. But then he was using the word suffering. So then what do? Subsequent to that sermon, I go in and I look at all the places where the word suffering is. And I look for where anything close to leisure or anything like that is spoken about or whatever. And the word suffering and the word sacrifice. And I realize that just as I thought, my suspicions were confirmed that the Bible doesn't use the word suffering almost in any other context, at least in the New Testament. The Bible doesn't use the word suffering in any other context than actual real persecution. So I'm not America persecution, where you're scared of the teenage furries peeing in kitty cat bathrooms. Not that kind of persecution. Real persecution. And that was happening back then. And suffering is always in that context, and it's never contrasted with leisure. That's always contrasted with basically like, are you going to maintain your beliefs or not? And what he's really after is a word like sacrifice. But then even that's sort of split because you realize like, well, part of the time sacrifice is talked about in sort of like the total like moral position, the sort of default position of your heart has to have like a certain level of sacrifice for one another. But also there's a lot of sacrifice that's talked about, which is basically like, hey, this is a temporary thing. I'm taking this on because of this, or I'm just asking you to sacrifice right. I'm not asking you to ruin your whole life. I'm asking you to sacrifice right now in this like moment that I'm asking you. And so even that has a difference to it. So that's the kind of thing. I can't help it. I can't help that that's in my brain. And when I'm hanging out and I take my family down to Big Nate's trading card shop in freaking Gig Harbor, Washington, and Big Nate's there with family and other shoppers are coming in and we're hanging out and my boys are there enjoying the wares for sale. It's like, I need to come up with something else to talk about besides index match formulas and the use of sacrifice versus suffering in the epistles. And let me tell you, folks, it's difficult. you just go, weather. Should I talk about weather? No. It's so cliche to talk about weather. There's so many jokes about talking about weather that I know I shouldn't talk about weather. But it really did change this week. It was cold and now it's hot. So if anybody was going to talk about weather at any time, now would be the time that I could actually talk about weather. So it's like, well, yeah, but I really shouldn't, because I feel like, our cultural expectation about talking about weather has really passed, where even if there's something significant going on, that you can't really bring it up. So unless it was like a tornado or something, I couldn't really mention like, hey, it's really hot outside today. So then I go to the next thing. And that is... That's literally in my head the whole time. And then I go like, oh man, I wonder if Nate would like to know what the Bible says about hell right now. Oh man, I know he just said something about the Mariners. But I bet he wants to know. I bet he wants to hear the evidence of a woman's authorship of Hebrews. Anyways. And let me tell you, folks, even Christian people out there don't even want to talk about that crap. Okay? So don't think there's conversation partners out there a dime a dozen at church either. People are like, ew, I'm here for Cookie Sunday. Get away from me. Cookie Sunday, first day of the month. Bunch of cookies. That's all it is. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention also, for my brother's sake, that I am drinking some gross Loyal mixed berry lemonade. Didn't notice it wasn't a seltzer. Went to take a drink. It was flat. It threw me off. It's fine. Anyways, what else is up? Let me tell you this, folks. I don't know why I'm saying that now. But let me tell you this. Women be holding grudges. Women be a lot of things. Everybody knows women be shopping. But also women be holding grudges. Women be cute. Okay, occasionally. Women be chit-chatting. Women be talking. That's why I like to hang out with the women. I like to talk. Women be talking. Women be sharing their 35,000 words a day, and men are only sharing their 20,000 words a day or whatever. Women be chatting. Women be talking. Women be shopping. Women be men now. But also, women be holding grudges. And let me tell you, I'm not a grudge holder. And I can sort of be accused of being a grudge holder, because it's just like, sometimes I don't mind talking about the past, or if the past is kind of hanging around, and if it still affects your future, then you can't help but have it be a thing you're talking about. But I would say in my heart, if we're talking about art as well, if I didn't cut that out, there's strengths and weaknesses to, based on your psychology and everything, and baked into your morality. And just grudge holding is not one of those things for me. But I've had a few things recently, like at work, where you go over, or you have a week, or you say something, even if you're at fault, even if I want to accept responsibility for my actions, whether I consciously, bothered someone or hurt someone or something, or unconsciously, even if you try to own it, people will still be holding grudges. And it's so weird to me because it is like, for me, I just feel like mentally, it's easier to go, hey, this person is an untrustworthy person because of X, and I'm going to move on with my life. And all I have to do is remember they're untrustworthy in this area or because of this, or I need to be mindful that they're sensitive about this. Might not be something bad about them. It might be like, it might even be you understand why they hold a grudge. But like for me, it's like, even if I would sort of like be in the right to hold a grudge, quote unquote, it's like I have to consciously choose not to, because I just don't like the space that takes up in my brain, and I just don't have the energy for it. I could not find the interview, but I swear it's like Courtney Cox or something, where she said she forgot that she was in a fight with this other celebrity person and saw him at a party, like 2.5 years after they had a blow up, and was just like, hey, and walked up to him, and they were in a fight. And like, that would be me, forgetting it. But that would also be me, I would sort of forget it because I actively made the choice where it's just like, well, I'm going to check this box off now so I don't have to constantly be checking that box. It seems so exhausting to me. And here's the other thing. I think the greatest gift you can give somebody is an immediate F off sometimes. Because when you are holding a grudge, you are a terrorist. You're a torture artist. Okay? Because what happens is, if I go talk to you and you communicate and sort of like, well, actually, that's not what you said 2 weeks ago. If you tell me something like that, then I go like, oh, wait. Oh, silly me. I thought we were over this thing from 2 weeks ago. I didn't know we were maintaining a grudge from 2 weeks ago. Now, not only does it put me on the spot then you little torture artist, you little terrorist, you little ISIS member, you have just put out into the world that destruction is right around the corner. I mean, 9/11, I have never forgot 9/11, and it makes me think, like, is another plane going to hit a tower sometime? That's in the back of my mind. That's called terrorism. And they get you on edge. They get you thinking differently. They get you making choices that aren't in your best interest. And all you little terrorist grudge holders out there dropping little hints. Oh, well, actually, when you first brought that up, it seemed like you were kind of unsure and you needed my help. But now you don't. So, okay, that's fine. No problem. I guess we'll just talk later. All you little sickos out there if you want to make peace in the Middle East, here's what you really do. You say, Michael, you know what? F off. I thought about what you said. Forget you. Forget you. radio version. Okay? And I think stereotypically, now I'm not talking about all women, men hold grudges, blah, 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 blah. The stereotype of two men being like, F you, no, F you, no, F you more, no, F you more, bird, double bird. What that gives you is a sense of peace and a sense of calm. It's a way of bringing light to the world because you let the light go out on grudge holding and you let it shine on moving on with your life. The best thing you can do to somebody sometimes is offer them an F off. And that's my public service announcement for today. If you're a grudge holder, just think if you would like to end up, in a helicopter raid in Abbottabad and your body laying to sea, supposedly, or if you'd just like to throw a nuke, walk away, and we rebuild our lives. You know what Japan and the United States are right now? Allies. Were they then? No. But guess who's not allies from way back then? China. Too many spies, too much espionage, too much stuff going on behind the scenes. Balloons flying over Montana. We could never get on good terms. We burned a city to the ground with a bomb bigger than had ever seen before. People's shadows were burned into dirt. Cancer ravaging their bodies. And we're friends now. And I'm saying, all you grudge holders, just say F you and make a friend. The more F yous you say, the more friends you'll have. Let me put it that way. Because you think I'm going to go to Mr. and Mrs. Terrorist and, hey, should we hang out tonight, Mr. and Mrs. Terrorist? No. But I might pick a day to end it with F you guy, because you know what? That was in the past. But terrorist guy, you don't know if it's right around the corner. And I don't know what I mean by that. But it's been on my mind. And it's just bugging me. Because I don't have the energy. Maybe I'm jealous. Maybe I'm jealous that I can't grudge hold. Because I sort of think like I would really like to communicate my frustration. Because sometimes it doesn't mean your frustration goes away. Like I said, you just label them, unsafe person. You're just not dwelling on it constantly. It doesn't mean it doesn't come up. But it means when it does come up, you have to choose to be person who let things go and not person who's maintaining grudge. Because you just sort of decided for yourself, one's better than the other, because one clearly is better than the other. I don't know. Maybe I'm jealous. Who's that? Anyway, shout out to all the Swifties out there. I'm sorry you're going through a hard time. I hope you're done throwing up. I hope she breaks up with Matt soon. And who should she return to? She should definitely return to somebody. And instead of finding a new person, maybe Calvin Harris. It's not going to be John Major. What if she just went psycho and just went like full, like over the top, like crazy female empowerment for the rest of her life? of like men are so much disgusting and so much pigs and so much dogs. What are they good for? We don't need them. Pussy power, pink hat. And I think that'd maybe be a good move. All right. So the deal is, I don't know what Will's involvement is going to be, or, the next couple of weeks, because we have impending baby delivery happening in the near future. And so what I'm going to do is probably talk to the only people who listen to this podcast. But I'm going to reach out to some people, and we're going to do some guest eps. And I already have some in mind. And we're going to do some in-person, not FaceTime recording guest eps. And I am excited about that. And hopefully I'll have something something different to talk about than the Apostle Paul. I'm going to have to figure out a lot of questions to ask about where you're born and raised and such this and such that. And until next time, I hope you share this with a friend. I hope I edited this well. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you open yourself up to new things, like not holding grudges. I hope 2023 is a year of broadening your horizons. Is it already May and it sounds weird to say, I hope you do this in your 2023? Yes. But Will's not here to stop me from doing it, so I'm doing it.